Welcome to the Fortnite from scratch tutorial series. So I'm going for a little bit of a different feel today because I'm going to do the building section of this, but I'm not actually going to explain why I'm doing stuff all the time because that's what makes the videos take half an hour, and I don't even think it's worth it. So this might be better, might be worse. Let me know what you think, and we'll go from there. I'm going to show you how to properly do each of the basic moves because I didn't learn to do them properly for a while. So move number one is just boxing up. When you box up, you need to do it in this order and this order only. It is open it, look down at the floor. You need to find the little bit where a tiny adjustment places both walls, and out of habit you want to go through there, through that area. We're going to go in a circle like this. You want to go floor, wall, wall, roof and cone, wall. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you can see, it's actually a circle. The hard part of it is making sure that as you go into this one and then into here, you finish this in a diagonal cut that does let you place those before you place that, because there are a lot of threats that are going to come from above you. But in full speed it should look like that. And again, all that is floor, little sweet spot around there where both walls place. Before I've even come out, I'm looking up as I come out, and then boom. That's what you want to be doing. Obviously, if your enemies are on the right hand side, I haven't built all the muscle memory for this, but in the same way that you go to there, I'm sure you could do that as well. The only problem is it's not as easy to place this first wall when it's on your right, because the right hand peek camera lets you place this one earlier than that one. So out of habit, that's probably why I'm always placing left first, especially because ideally we should be rotating around there this way to get onto a right hand peek. Anyway, so that's boxing up. And if you can get to the point that you can just spend your day for a little bit just being able to get out and rebox over and over again safely, that is a useful skill, right? Useful skill number 2 that also makes use of this sort of circling is 90s. Now, the way that we're going to do 90s, like with the wall, because obviously at first when you're practicing this you want to just go edit walls, and then you go, oh, press the wrong one, and then you go, oh, I pressed the right one that time but I didn't get that wall down, and slowly you get to the point where that becomes one motion. With 90s we're going to do exactly the same. So with 90s the ramp goes up around this corner here. You're trying to do a circle, and that's going to look like that. And if you time it right, as you look up in the circle, you're going to go wall behind, wall up there, and then down. And naturally that then brings you to a point where you're looking to the right and you're looking down a bit. You just jump and do the same. That's how you do multiple 90s, but obviously one at a time. Is ultimately that. multiple 90s in a row. Oh, that was sad. I pressed the wrong button. Provided you don't mess them up like that. Look like that. So, the way that we're going to do that, really simply, like I said, phase 1 is you just need to make sure that you're painting these 4 walls every time. Phase 2 is you need to make sure that when you finish painting them, you ran up this side. You need to be able to do 90s like that. You should always be on the middle of this. And so you go up, staying on the middle of this side. You paint the 4 walls. Take advantage of the fact that you're looking down, because if you're looking up when you place your floor, you're going to do that. That's going to block you. Which is a nice little trick if you're trying to do protected 90s. But it's obviously not what you want to start with. So to make sure that this is below, when I actually look down, you could actually do your 90s looking down pretty much the whole time. You barely look up and then just look back down again. This is quite a safe trick for never putting the stairs above your head. So slow motion, you want to go here. You get to about halfway, you look up, you look round. While you're looking down, jump on floor and ramp. And then when you look back up again, you're doing the same exaggerated motions. Now obviously you want to make the movement as small as possible, because the smoother and smaller the movements are, oh wow, that was embarrassing, the smaller and smoother the movements are, the faster it is, right? But ultimately it's that for your first one. And then if you're doing more than 190 in a row like that, then all you do is you just go straight. There's no ramp at the beginning. You just go straight into the painting of the next wall. And so in slow motion, that then looks like you're now painting walls around this corner. And hopefully again, we finish looking down. Finish looking down. Sometimes I find it helps a little bit to run a little bit further to the left here, to give yourself more time to do all of this if you feel like you're losing momentum. And then with time, all you do is you just learn to jump at better moments. So obviously when you start out, you'll probably jump quite late. Oh, well, that's not falling any faster than I was falling. Sometimes you'll jump quite late and you'll hit the wall. In an ideal world, you wouldn't hit the wall because that's wasted energy. You know, if you could get it perfect, you land where I'm landing now. You just go straight into the next one. And then if you were to draw a line of like how far you ran, you actually ran less distance if you can use the jump cleverly. Obviously, if you use the jump wrong, you end up underneath. So that will come with time. But if you can just get yourself into the habit of painting these 4 walls, jumping, looking down, and you can just do that reliably, even when there's no jumps left and your jumps are tiny, you should really just still be able to, until a point, you should be able to keep going. And if you can get this smooth, I used to genuinely sit in creative for hours, even when I was on console, and I barely practiced anything. I don't know why. I just decided I wanted to do 90s, which I obviously still need to practice on these new binds. My god, the floor is not coming when I want it to. But yeah, when I first started out practicing, I would literally just do this for like an hour until I could just get to the top, 90 after 90, no mistakes, really fast. Which I still evidently haven't done on the new buttons, but I'm saying, you know, you can see how this teaches you a lot of things. It teaches you about build placement. It teaches you about aiming your camera at the right speeds. It teaches you about optimizing your movement. It teaches you about where you've got to stand on a ramp to land behind the stairs or in front of it. And what you notice is that although I pretty much rarely do 390s like this anymore. What I will do is I'll be building and something like this will happen and I'll see that they're about my height and I might do, oh wow, that was embarrassing. I might do 2. Or if you're moving around and you see someone, let's say you see someone there, if you're someone who can do 90s comfortably, you're going to be like, oh, I can do a 90 around that corner. You're going to see this situation and be like, right, I'm up, right? And it's the little moments where you're editing through, you see someone, you go, oh, wait, I'm up, that give you high ground at the higher level. So that's why actually speeding it up by knowing that you're trying to go round that corner and that, you know, you're trying to do it when you're standing about here is worth knowing. In the same way that if I drag my wall from here to here, boom, both walls. You need to know that kind of stuff. So yeah, so that's 90s, that's boxing up, and then for the third and final move in the video, we're going to do pushing someone. So obviously 90s is how you're going to try and get height. Pushing somebody, this is still your best move. Now I suppose there are some people who say it's worth putting in that one. I mean, to be honest, do you need a fourth layer? It already, in my experience, takes too long to shoot out somebody who's triple ramping at you. I mean, yeah, I suppose that would take a bit longer because it's a third build, but if someone's just doing this at you, bearing in mind if they want to make it stronger, I believe it's rather than doing that one, which you can learn to time, I think you're probably just better off just doing 2 if you really think it's worth it. But I mean, I don't. I would say most of the time, especially if you're not using wood, if you're using any of the harder materials and you just do this at somebody, they have to go for high ground. They can't, they're not going to be able to shoot you back. And obviously if they do just spend ages shooting at your builds, you just shoot them while they're shooting at your builds, and then the second they stop shooting at your builds, you just start going up again. So yeah, so the reason why this one is good is again, it's not that you'll end up actually using it the same way you probably won't end up using whole 90s, but if I can get so good at doing this that when I do a 90, oh wow, when I do a 90, I can then fortify these 2, and as I'm going up to something, I'm just always making everything strong. Oh wow, that's so bad. Anyway, you get the point. It being able to have these little muscles just trained to do something like that means that when you then come out of a 90, you do that without thinking. So there's 2 different ways to do this one. I personally think it's better to put the ramp first, because if I'm ramping over to somebody and they're about my height, if I put the ramp first, it's going to block their shots. My head's never going to be exposed. The other way to do it, which some people do, is they put the floor first. Now that doesn't actually matter in terms of speed, but even though you slow down a little bit, you actually get popped up by the ramp when it appears underneath you and it speeds you back up again. The reason why I think this is worse is that obviously if you're coming over the top like that, somebody your height can just snipe your head off. There's always like a little window, and I often see people doing it like that, and I sit there waiting, gun out, waiting for the moment that I will be able to see them over the top. So I'm not sure it's good for that reason. The reason why people do it is because if you don't put the floor first and you do this normally, it's very easy to put the floor on top of you, right? And so the way you avoid that is you look down. But you don't. You want to look down. Imagine if there was a wall here. Once you've crossed this line, so. And obviously, at first, I used to make the up and down really obvious. Now, you can almost do it with no adjustment at all. But yeah, that is, I would say, always ramp first. Then, to avoid putting the floor above you, you want to put floor the first thing you put when you look down, and then wall behind it. So it goes. And so all together, you're ramping, you do some not very well done 90s because you haven't learnt them yet, you fortify it, you boom, you come out, you make a box. Something like that. And I didn't even do that perfectly, and I'm doing a tutorial on something that I'm meant to know reasonably well. So yeah, I'm telling you, if you can just, especially of all things, if you can get the box making right. If you can be doing a 90 and go, if you think that you're losing your position, just having the muscle memory at any time. Someone attacks you, you're like, someone goes down on your team and you need to make a distraction. Being able to create this sort of defense, I am telling you, is so useful. Right, I'll see you in the next one.